Welcome to Cult Connections. Let's see what we are taking a sideways look at today. Hi, it's Ian here. Today I'm joined by Vern from Cinema, their recall. How are you, Vern?
Hello, good to be here. I feel very, very honored to be here. Thank you so much for having me on the show. This is great.
You're very welcome. Thanks for coming on. Now today we're going to talk three things, Kurt, Russell, and we certainly bandied this about for a while about what we were going to this the cover. I think the listeners know that I don't really go for the obvious choices, but we've certainly got three really, really good ones. For me, thinking back to knowing who he is and the actor that he is, I think for me the first film that really stuck out in my mind was probably Big Trouble in Little the sort of China. I have quite vivid memories of sort of watching that there back.
I do too. That probably was the first movie that I've seen of his as a kid, and I had no idea who he was because I didn't see like Escape from New York or The Thing till like years later. So I think when Big Trouble in Little China came out, I had to have been probably around the age of like 12 or 13. And I remember watching that on repeat with my friends, like all the time. We watched that movie along with like RoboCop and Die Hard and Little Shop of Horrors. There was like our main horror movies that we watched all the time as a kid. And I just thought Kurt Russell I thought he was a comedic actor. Because if you watch Little China, it's a very funny movie. And then when you go into watching like Escape from New York and The Thing, just or very different mode of character in those movies.
Yeah, very much so. Very they're sort of versatile and absolutely. And funnily enough, he's one of the few actors who's made that jump from child they sort of acting up to adult sort of stardom, and still going sort of strong as we speak. So he certainly had had one of the longest their sort of careers there that I can think of. So, but yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, that mid sort of 80s was about the time when I started thinking, who's this guy, and then obviously sort of following him on from that. um and actually, when you look back at their sort of credits, he's he's got 103 separate um
Yeah,
their sort of credits. So it's he's out there and he's working, and still sort of working, and still in big their sort of
he's
films. Yeah.
huge demand, huge demand. I mean, the guy has done like dramas, he's done comedies. I remember Overboard being a big favorite with my family growing up, and
Hmm.
you watch that one like all the time. But he has this way of like doing like action roles that are very good. Dramatic roles. Breakdown is probably one of my favorite movies that he's done. I
Hmm.
thought he was just absolutely great. And that what I like the best about Kurt Russell is that he doesn't take himself too seriously. He can have fun, especially with his work in Death Proof. I mean, the sequence when he gets shot and he's crying about it in the car. And he's like pouring booze on his wounds. He's like just crying. When earlier he's been seen like as like this dangerous badass, and he gets totally demasculated by these women in Death Proof, and I thought that shit was just really a lot of fun.
I think it's great. He's someone who can, send himself up, isn't it? I think that's
Yeah,
a great sort of talent there to have, and not have that their sort of ego either. Which is a great their sort of quality. To stay feeling quite sort of real, and that's probably why so many of us are so warm, they're sort of to him, isn't it?
Mm, yeah, because I know people that when they watch him in Escape from New York and him being that kind of Bruin character, a lot of features that he did with John Carpenter, is that McCready and the Thing, he's like this very macho man guy. And I love the fact that both John Carpenter and Kurt Russell kind of skewer that whole character when he was in Big Trouble in Little China, because they marketed that movie as he's going to be like the main star, but he's not the main star. He's the co-star. And I love the fact that both Russell and Carpenter knew that we're going in to make that movie, and yet all the marketing is showing Kurt Russell as the main hero, but he's not the main hero, and they're just having fun with audiences' expectations, and I kind of love that about the guy.
You know what? It's just so great that someone's actually up for that, and I mean, I would imagine he's probably someone who's actually really easy to work with.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he loves his fans too. He's a big fan of his fans. He knows what his fans like and everything like that there too, and he just kind of takes everything in stride and just is having fun. I mean, the dude's like in his late 70s and still looks good. I mean, hell, I'm in my mid 40s and I wish I could look as good as Kurt Russell does now, and I don't. I need to like work out more.
I think we all wish that, Vern, to be fair. Um, so where we are going to start is now I've been having a bit of fun with sort of this one, but I think I picked a role. Now I'm going to describe this role as iconic, as in this is a character he's played three their times on their screen, which he hasn't done for any other their character. And this is also a major a major studio film, but very sort of early for him. And we're actually going to go all the way back to 1969 with the computer wore their tennis shoes. I just wanted to give a couple of their shout outs to their Twitter friends who did actually guess this one. So first of all, I've got Wyndham, their Jennings. He got it absolutely spot on. And then my good friends over at Hallmark of their greatness, who also got this one. So well done to you both. And this is a really fun, film. I would say it's so the 1969 a Disney film, and it surrounds their students at Medfield, their sort of college, who get their computer at the time. Now Kurt Russell plays Dexter Riley, who's one of their students, and due to an accident, the power of their computer is transferred to his their sort of brain, so he becomes their sort of super smart and so on. It's a sort of comedy, actiony sort of crime sort of drama film, and I must admit it's good fun.
I like this one. I like the whole computers are magic area of filmmaking. That was like what, because in 1969 computers were like a brand new thing. I mean, they bring that huge hunting computer into the classroom, like all the different parts right there, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, this is great, because there was no home computers. They're talking about how this computer was in NASA before, and now it's being donated to this classroom. And the whole notion of having a computer just through a sheer electrical storm or something like that. Kurt Russell's living like a computer part, and he touches two wires together, and suddenly that makes the computer go into his brain. I love it. I miss the whole thing there, because now since computers are everywhere, you can't really do a whole computers and magic because everyone has a computer. Your phone is your computer now. So I just love that whole early 60s capabilities of having magic happen. And there's a great lesson to be learned in this movie as well, especially as Kurt Russell's character gets smarter and smarter. I was thinking that for like Disney, I thought they were gonna maybe do a whole like Flowers for Algernon type of
Mhm.
like story mentality there about a guy because Kurt Russell in this movie, he's not dumb. He just has very much average intelligence. Um, I think this movie has a lot to say about the notion of fame because before this happened, Kurt Russell's character Chester was just a regular guy. He had his friends, but no one was really paying attention to him. But now he has all these smarts. He's on television shows and he's touring the country. Suddenly, he's achieving fame status right there. And that fame goes to his head, very much like the way the computer technology goes to his head, too, because he starts to believe in the whole lie that, hey, I'm actually am really smart and I am really famous and I don't need my other friends because I'm going to be with these much more powerful people. And I think it happens to like a lot of people when they start achieving fame is that they're thinking, well, I should be with these more, fancy, famous people than be with my true friends. And I like the lesson that he learns throughout this of how his friends are really the ones that are the most important.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we would expect something like that from a sort of Disney film of that sort of time as well, wouldn't we? I think what I liked was the fact that we had a a sort of campus of students, so young there folk who were up for having fun, but it was nice and sort of wholesome and not not what we would kind of expect from students on the whole. So, and I really like
We
that.
don't know what happens to those students after dark or something like that. I mean, it is the 60s, and I'm pretty sure some of the students got into some hanky panky going on back over there in the 60s. Okay, it's the late 60s. It's the summer of love. Okay, so just because they're not showing anything, I'm pretty sure there's some wild shenanigans going on.
Well, what I did really enjoy is that, uh, like you say, that late 60s, their sort of vibe to it. So very, they're sort of colourful, lots of sort of primary, their sort of colours
Oh
and,
yeah,
shown in it. Um, Also, I think that the theme song as well, it felt very late sort of 60s, felt a bit sort of flower power and and all that. So I think that absolutely adds to the charm of the film.
the opening credits reminded me in a small little way the opening credits to Ghost in the Shell with the use of
Okay.
like
Yeah.
numbers turning into names, that
Uh-huh.
type of thing that they use the opening credits for Ghost in the Shell. I thought that was kind of a nice. I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure the directors saw that and were planning to that. But even the late '90s, computers were still sort of like magic, and that
Mm.
you could actually go into a computer still in late 1999. We have this, the Matrix made us believe that we could be in a computer simulation, and the whole notion of the guy, the computer that wore tennis shoes. Here's a guy that can actually get smarts from a computer. Like a computer can download into his brain. The whole notion of having a computer download yourself into your brain probably inspired the filmmakers of The Matrix as well as Ghost in the Shell, being able to instead of having a computer go into you, you yourself can go into a computer. And I can imagine too how people who made Tron saw this and were like, "Hey, let's instead of having a computer go into someone's brain, let's have our lead character go into a computer." And so it's just amazing how things can influence other movies itself. And I found it to be a hell of a lot of fun with this one.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right with the whole color scheme too. That was amazing because back in the late 60s, color televisions were just coming into homes at the time. A lot of people still have black and white TVs. So that's why a lot of the films from late 60s, their color films are really good because they're really trying to showcase use of color. And I think
Mhm.
that time period is perfect for showing colorization in movies.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think looking through the sort of credits for it. Now, they're directed by Robert, the sort of Butler, who did there lots of their sort of TV work. So in the
Tons of
80s,
TV.
yeah, so in the 80s he did Remington, the Steel, and the New Adventures of the Superman. But they're going back to the 60s. He did episodes of the Batman, and actually I did get quite a sort of Batman vibe from the film.
Oh yeah, majorly. Especially if you see a lot of the Batman early episodes too, especially like a lot of the camera angles and use of costumes and colors. Yeah, I can definitely see that one there as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There, I think what also helped is that Caesar, the Romero, there turns up playing the bad guy.
Oh, that's right, he does.
Yeah,
The original Joker.
yeah. So
I forgot about that.
so you've absolutely got your Batman vibes there. They're the cast as well. I think generally that the cast is really good. The one actor who really stood out for me is William the Shalat, who 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 plays the Quigley, who's the sort of professor. I thought he was absolutely brilliant in it. Almost because with all of the fun sort of goings on, he's quite sort of straight sort of faced, but he reacts really well to what's going on there around him. I really did like that a lot. But was there anyone who stood out for you, Vern, from the
You know what? I don't really know any of the actors' names, but I thought all of Dexter's friends.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they were all really good and really believable. Even when they go to the bad guy's house and they pose as painters,
Yeah,
and they're to kind of like because in the movie Dexter gets kidnapped by these mobsters, and so all his friends decide to pose as painters, and they pretend to paint the house and they're trying to spy on them. There are some. I just like the character work in there. I also like a lot of the work use of like stunt work in the movie. I'm just trying to pull up right now who played his girlfriend in this, and I'm just kind of totally blank on the name. But whoever played his girlfriend, I think it's Annie who was the girlfriend, played by Debbie Payne. I thought she did a really believable job in that movie because I don't think that couple was together. I know they were good friends and they were slightly couple, but not exclusively dating, that type of thing.
Yeah.
I just liked the way that she even though she's hurt by this guy, she knows that deep down that he's still a good guy, and she knows that it's that experiment that's gone to his head. Kind of like how fame goes to your head, the computer went to his head, and she still kind of sits by him. And her and her other friends bail him out of jail when he gets arrested, because during the course of the movie, he befriends Caesar Romero's character, and he's able to pick horses. That's his big thing. He can pick the winning horses at a big racetrack, and he gets in trouble by the police, and he gets arrested, and his friends bail him out of jail. And this is just right after he just his friends to go hang out with this guy, and yet they still bail him out of jail. And like that is true friendship right there. If I ever did that stuff to my friends and said, "Hey, I don't want to hang out with you. I'm gonna hang out with this rich tycoon person," my friends would not be able to get out of jail. They would just be like, "Well, enjoy your day in jail, bud." So
yeah, I can definitely see that. Yeah. But then again, probably there sort of reflects, Disney's values and such like. And I must admit, as a whole, I'm not a Disney fan. It's not their output isn't something that I naturally, in sort of gauge with. But I must admit, this film actually it's good fun. And if you haven't seen it, I would certainly they sort of recommend, going and they're watching it. And if you like Kurt, they're sort of Russell, it's nice to see him look so sort of fresh, and they're sort of baby faced as well, isn't it? He looks so sort of young in this one.
Oh, I hardly recognize the guy too. One of my roommates came in and is like, "Is that Kurt Russell?" I'm like, "What?" Yeah, like, wow, just never seen the guy just be so young before. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Um, so
um,
apparently, I did not know about this, but this movie had a remake in 1995.
yeah.
I'm just trying to pull it up right now here. Yeah, with Kirk Cameron as the as the lead character and Larry Miller as the dean. Yeah. So, wow, it was directed by Pete and Reed, and that name is somewhat familiar because I pull him up here. I know he did Ant-Man and the Wasp, and he's also known for Down with Love. That was the other movie he did. Wow. Okay, that's a. Sorry, I'm just like when I see about remakes, I'm like, who did that remake? I'm like, oh, that guy did that remake. Well, that guy's actually a pretty good director. So, all right,
I'm
very cool. But
definitely.
I don't think I'd watch that remake with Kirk Cameron. I don't know. I just that guy irks me. But all right.
I think I'm gonna have to watch that actually, just for the sake of my their sort of brain. I feel that I just have to finish that one off.
I don't blame you. I'm age. It is the late '90s and still computers were magic back in '95. I can't believe that from the '60s, '69 to '95, people still thought computers were magic. And I kind of missed that element though. I mean, we cannot do movies like this now
No.
because there would be like, well, that makes no sense. I know it's sometimes when I watch a movie, I want to just buy into the fantasy of the whole thing. I don't want to know about logic holes in there. And too many times when people are watching movies, they want to like pinpoint logic holes in this. And yeah, this is not a movie you do that with. Either the '69 version, the '95 version of Computer Wore Tennis Shoes. I mean, the title alone should tell you that yes, this is an absurd movie with an absurd concept, but it sold to me because all of the actors were believable in it, and that made me believe in the story of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't have fun with this one.
So, um, in in the world of Kurt, their sort of Russell, this one's unique because he went on to play their Dexter Riley another two times. So in the 1972s, Now You See Him, Now You Don't, and 1976, They're the Strongest Man in the World, which I've actually just finished watching about um, a hour ago there just before starting here. I just watched that one. Um, so I'm actually going to put the character of the Dexter Riley right up at the top for one of his iconic roles, I would say, because he's never played anyone three times as far as I am aware, unless Netflix make another Santa Claus their film.
Yeah, I can imagine that to be a trilogy because everything has to be a trilogy.
It does, doesn't it? I think, and you know what, Vern, in my head, I think I'd like to see their Disney go back to the character, and I think it would be nice to have a new film where 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 the Dexter Riley's grandson is at the college, and he can sort of pop up and give him some sage advice. I think that would be nice to see that one.
Cast his son Wyatt Russell in that feature. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Have Wyatt become the new person right there. I mean, shoot. I mean, it'd just be a good father and son bonding movie right there. So
Yeah,
yeah, do
yeah.
that.
Who knows? Yeah, let's get that one going. Come on, there, Disney, make that one. Uh, I'm sure they're going to listen there to this and think, yeah, that's a great idea. Um, so as we know, so for Kurt, the sort of Russell now, he done lots of their sort of TV prior there to this. He made these three films. He'd done a lot more sort of TV afterwards as well. They're one of his, I think, for to sort of transfer over from that child young their sort of actor into um adult leading sort of roles is quite sort of difficult. um I think one role that helped was actually Elvis in the 79 with John, the sort of Carpenter. And we know that obviously that was a great their sort of partnership for them. They're sort of both going forward. And funnily enough, that relationship with the director and certainly one of that their sort of caliber does sort of help, I think, and that actually leads us nicely on to our second film, which certainly has a director of their sort of caliber. Probably not the one that people are thinking of. So, but we are going to talk about 1980s used cars. And at this point, now nobody guessed this film. However, I am going to give a shout out to probably my favorite film, their podcast, and that is for the vintage video, there guys, because they covered this film.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I love their work. They're absolutely brilliant. So, and nobody actually covers film the way that they do. So uh, their challenge is to cover every film released in the 1980s that had a wide release in the States. So good luck to them on their doing this. But I know that this is a film that they liked. And a director of their sort of caliber. So this is the second feature by Robert. There's a Megas. So what are your first thoughts about this film, Vern?
Okay, well, I had a lot of fun with used cars. Because the first movie that both Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale did before this was one called "I Want to Hold Your Hand,"
Mm-hmm.
which is a very fun movie about these group of kids who are trying to see Beatles for the first time at the Sullivan theaters, and a lot of these special effects that were in that movie screwed over to his other features. Used Cars was definitely one of only a few R-rated movies that Robert Zemeckis has directed. He doesn't really direct a lot of like R-rated features, especially like raunchy R-rated features. I mean, this is up there with like Kentucky Fried Movie. Not so much as being a parody, but like sort of like that late '70s, early '80s. Definitely up there with, like Bachelor Party, because I
Yeah.
would probably put this up there with there right
Yeah.
there.
Uh-huh.
Just being a whole it's basically about this used car lot, and right across the street there's another used car lot, and it's a battle between both people there. There's like Kurt Russell and Jack Warden, who plays one of the brothers at his car lot, and Jack Warden also plays another character at the other lot. There's the Fuchs brothers, and I had a hard time really telling the differences between the names, but I know one of them was older and one of them looked a little younger, but it was just makeup jobs. Uh, Basically, it's the whole story, like Revenge of the Nerds or something like that, where there's like this downtrodden group and they have this business that's doing okay but not so great, and then there's the company that's just slightly a little bit bigger and better. And both Kurt Russell and a lot of his cohorts, played by Garrett Graham and Frank McRae, they develop these plans to get back at the big wigs right there. And I found it to be a lot of fun. Uh, there were moments towards the middle that made it kind of drain for me. Like, I don't think this should have been a 2-hour movie. If this was cut down to maybe 90 minutes, that would have been great. But the whole like relationship with Kurt Russell's character of Rudy Russell and their girl interest played by Deborah Hammond, I thought that stuff was good, but not necessarily needed. I also don't understand this too, and you help me out with this too, Ian, because in this movie, Kurt Russell's character wants to become a politician. He's sick and tired of working at a used car lot, and he's working at this job and getting these loans from different people so he can actually become a U.S. congressman slash senator, and yet I don't see a lot of that being played into the movie. I know they are trying to disrupt the presidential address that president's making so that they can do a car ad, but besides the fact of making money, we don't really understand why this character wants to become a politician. Is
Yeah,
it just for the money, the fame? I just didn't understand that.
yeah, it's
Uh,
an interesting one, isn't it? Because I think maybe, in say the writing that they had lots of, really good um the sort of ideas, but actually possibly tried to cram, sort of so much in, and then actually ended up not really, they're sort of developing a lot of that further. So yeah, you're right. I mean, the fact that Kurt's the sort of character I think he wants to run for the state senate. I think that was the thing
yeah.
there.
Now,
Um,
I
and
did like the whole thing with the two brothers because we have one brother who owns one car lot, and the other brother, works with Kurt Russell and all his cornies, and the other brother wants to take possession over this other person's lot and wants to combine them both together into his own thing. So he's trying to really put this other team out of business, and the only way he can do that, it seems to, and this is not really a spoiler because this happens within the first like 10 minutes of the movie. Plus, the movie's from 1980, folks. And if you haven't seen the movie by now, I apologize. But the older brother has his plan to kill the other brother.
yeah.
And he does this because one of the brother has like a weak heart and has to take like all these pills. Uh, so I find it funny that he hires a guy who drives for the demolition derby to like test out our car. He and just drive really fast, and that makes the guy have a heart attack. And there's a really funny moment when Kurt Russell is trying to sell our car to another couple, and this couple is trying to get to him to cut the price down by $50. And Kurt Russell goes, "Well, I'll talk to the boss, but he's not going to be upset. He's not going to be happy about this." And just then, the boss, who has been driving in this car really fast with his demolition driver and having his heart rate beat up really fast, he comes in the office and he's just like foaming at the mouth. And the couple's like, "Oh, we're sorry, we'll buy as is. We don't need to have the
Yeah,
price over
yeah,
$50. We're so sorry."
the money for it. Yeah, it's certainly, yeah.
Because I think Crystal says he's gonna die from this or something.
Certainly,
Like,
yeah.
"I'll sign it. Don't worry about it. I'll pay extra for this car."
It's interesting what you say about their sort of humor, and very much they're the humor of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think I think probably one of the strongest things is actually Kurt. Sort of Russell probably holds the film.
Yeah,
They're together, and actually, he's able to sort of transition from those more wholesome but still sort of funny roles to this very much an adult, their sort of comedy. It's quite sort of rude in sort of places. There's like you say, there's a lot of swearing. There's there are a lot of references to sex and
yeah.
all kinds of stuff going on. So
He's
he
a
really
charming guy. He's really just even when he decides to have strippers to promote,
yeah.
his car shows. I mean, yeah, the sex sells, baby. So I'm like, all right, so why not have naked women be on top of the cars? And I love the fact too that the way he gets people to sign the cars is just have them ogle some girls' butts and just have them sign papers right there. Yeah, but he does it not to be exploitive. Even though yes, he is it's exploiting people. Uh, he still does it to help out his business. And at the time, he's thinking, well, how am I get people over to my car lot. We don't have the best cars. Let's face it. This car lot, they take cars that are painted yellow. He takes like old taxi cabs that have like a yellow primer paint and tried to paint them over with blue. And I think even in the opening credits, aren't they trying to like wind back the odometer of the cars to make it seem like it
Yeah,
has less miles on there? So this is not really the best car company out there. They're doing a lot of shady things, but yet they really like their customers. They want to give their customers what they want. Although I do find it funny that when they do have that party with all like the naked girls up there, yeah, the guys go over there. But I find it funny that a lot of the women are like, "Hey, sweet naked girls, let's go party." Yes, that's one of the tropes of the 1980s. That's
I'm not. I'm not really seeing why sort of family car buyers want to go to the car lot that have the zippers on them, but
it was the 80s, all right. So hey, great shiny stuff. It was disco music being played. You guys see Kurt Russell dance a little bit, and they're thinking, "Hey, big shiny lights right there. Come on, kids, let's go see strippers."
funnily
Did you
enough,
go? Did you go with your family to strip clubs when you were a kid? We went there for the buffet. Sometimes strip clubs have really good buffets.
yeah.
All right.
um, I think for me, one of the things that I remember about this film now, obviously I watched it just there last week,
Mhm.
but I remember watching it, probably would have been the mid 80s. Um, to be honest, I would have been too young to actually watch it at the time. I think I remember my their brother must have rented it. So I definitely remember it being on. Um, one sort of vivid memory, and it's funny how your memories of films actually sort of change. Um, so one of the characters that's there, Jeff, is very they're superstitious, and one of the things he doesn't like is to drive a red their car,
Mhm.
and one of the plot points at the end of the film is that there's a car that's painted blue, but it's actually red, and the paint there sort of comes off, and he, he gets into this sort of panic about how he can't drive a red their car. Now I've remembered this scene all this their time, but I've actually misremembered it because in my head he couldn't drive a brown car. Um, so when it turns out it was actually a red one, I was like, "Oh, has my brain been, sort of cheating me all this, time? Because if someone
Yeah.
used their cars there to me, the first thing I would have thought was he can't drive a brown their car, but it's not a brown one; it's a red one.
Real one. That's good points. I never thought about that before. Uh, I found his old superstitions that happen in the bar while they're watching the game, and he's trying to do like one bad luck thing after another. He's diving underneath a ladder because he thinks that if he does bad luck things, the team will score. Uh,
Mhm.
I don't know how it first starts, but he I know at the end he breaks a mirror. He's trying to find a black cat. But he's just basically trashing this whole bar, just trying to make sure that all this bad luck stuff happens so that his team will win. He's got this luckiest rabbit's foot right there. And hey, at the end of the movie, the superstitions actually do work out well because he's able to save the car lots. Now, I think that one of the best sequences of this movie is when so basically in the middle of the movie they kind of lost their car lots and the girl that Caruso's been romanticizing, she is the daughter of the owner of this place. The 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 I think it is. I'm not quite sure if it was Caruso's boss that she was the daughter of, or the other guy that owns the
Well,
other lot.
Kurt, Kurt Russell's boss, so it's Kurt Russell's boss's estranged daughter.
Strange. Okay, that's who
Yeah,
that was. That was Strange's
yeah.
daughter, and they lost everything, and so basically, she has to go to court, um, and they get the money back, which which I'm not quite sure exactly how they got the money back. It's so weird because I watched both this movie and the computer wore tennis shoes. And in the computer wore tennis shoes, there's like this whole I guess game show competition of how
Yeah.
they actually won the money in that one. Uh, but I don't quite remember how they got the money back because they lost everything in used cars. But they were able to get the money back, and so now they have to like drive all these cars. Oh, I think no, it wasn't like there's like this mob team that took the cars away.
So I think what so the courtroom scenes about um she's getting sued for false advertising.
That's what it is. Okay.
Yeah, so she'd said on an advert, although the advert had been edited, so
Mm,
she said that they had a mile of
metal
their
cars.
cars. Yeah, so the judge is like,
Yeah.
right, we'll go down to the car lot and we'll actually measure how many their cars that you have.
Hmm.
Um, and then it's like, right, we need to get a mile of sort of cars. So thankfully they're able to do that. Um,
Do they take a plane over to where the cars are? Because both Kurt Russell and the judge there, I find it great that the judge played by Al Lewis,
yeah.
who played Grandpa Munster in the
Yeah,
Munsters.
yeah.
That was a lot of fun to see that. Uh, Actually, one of my dad's jobs he worked for this video company, and they sold a bunch of like Grandpa Munster's VHS tapes where he introduced old cartoons
Uh-huh.
and old like horror shorts, and that was a lot of fun. Gosh, it's been a long time for that. So Kurt Russell gets to, I guess, where the cars are all being kept at like this junkyard, and pays them all off. He's able to get them all. And I find it funny too that he brings all of like student drivers from like
Yeah.
the high school to drive these cars. And what begins is a really good race against time, because they gotta get these cars to the car lots by a certain time. Otherwise, then she'll be sued and the business will just be out kaput.
Yeah.
And I love that during the middle of it though, um, one of the Fuchs brothers actually starts a whole fight on top of these cars. And Kurt Russell, basically jumps from one car, lands in the middle of another car right there. And for being someone's like second feature, to do a car thing like this on open gravel roads, there had to been tons of stunt drivers.
Yeah.
And I think it's funny too that we have this great car stunt that happens in the movie, and then years later, Kurt Russell will play a stunt car driver in Quentin Tarantino's Death Proof. So I
Mhm.
find it's kind of a nice little thing to see that. But even when you watch that car chase sequences and people are kind of jumping up and down between cars, I'm thinking of the train sequence in Back to the Future Part 3
Oh, mhm.
when Robert Zemeckis made shots like that, because there are certain shot elements that happen. I'm thinking, oh yeah, he's going to use this angle for this movie later on, and I found it to be really kind of a cool thing. I love the fact that all the kids in there have their own time in the car. Uh, in fact, you can make. I like to think that the kids who did the car chase sequences in this movie are the same kids from Dazed and Confused, because even though this movie is like the 1980s, I like to think of those kids being in the late 70s. Like, yeah, those could be those kids, the
Yeah.
same kids from there. I'm gonna try to connect Dazed and Confused into this one. So yeah, that whole sequence was just like amazing.
I think that's a great way to link it up. It is funny though. You can see the sort of, you know, the germination there of a great, the sort of director though. Can't you? It makes sense when you watch this film. You can see what the sort of Zemeckis went on there to do. Um, sort of definitely, it's you know the these sort of elements are there. And I would certainly say if you want to um, get that sort of feel of both an actor in Kurt, their sort of Russell, and a their sort of director ready there to take the 1980s by sort of storm. Then this is a film that probably sums it up quite sort of well. It's got all those their sort of features you would they sort of look for. Funnily enough, when you're talking about that car sequence, Vern, I've only recently I've watched all of the Mad Max films.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And again, so and I'm thinking of I'm sort of especially thinking of the Mad Max 2 and the climax of the Thunderdome with the car. Their sort of sequences, just how sort of well sort of done they were, but they're also done very sort of practically. That was the thing, what you watch on sort of screen is very much sort of real, and there's an element of there's sort of danger there. And like you say in this one, you get that car sequence, you get the fight between the two their sort of cars, and you're like, wow, you're actually amazed someone didn't get seriously injured when they were doing it.
Yeah, and big shout out to cinematographer Donald M. Morgan for shooting that sequence. He also did work on John Carpenter's Starman, as well as Christine. Worked with Kurt Russell earlier with John Carpenter's Elvis biopic that he was in, and and so just proofs of that right there. Just because when you try to shoot anything in daylight, there's like a lot of things happens too, especially with the sun getting into the lens. I like the fact too that all the cars were shown perfectly, and there was not overlight brightness of that sequence right there. And also, kudos to just everyone involved with that. The stunt drivers, that had to be a hell of a feat to do, and that was just an amazing shot right there. Yeah, I like that. I think the only thing I liked this before I didn't really like about this was the whole romance angle that happened. I know a lot of movies in the 80s had to have a romance angle. I just thought that both actors, nothing against the actors, I thought they really had no chemistry with each other. I didn't buy into the whole love story. And excuse me, the whole thing about the movie is trying to save the car lot.
Yeah.
That's the big thing right there. I know it had to have like the guy get the girl at the end of the movie, but she could have just been a girl that they both could have just had like a one-night stand and be friends about it and just be fine with it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah. So I think that's a nice place to actually move on to our third film. So as we know, after this, Kurt Russell, they teamed up again with John, the carpenter, in Escape from the New York, which introduced the much loved character of Snake, the Plissken, and his eye patch. And
yeah, he also did a Disney movie at the same time he made Escape from New York. So he went back to Disney and was one of the voices in The Fox and the Hound.
Yeah. So, thankfully, then, and probably just as well for him, he was only a voice in that one. So
yeah, no, he actually was a dog. I saw that movie. He was a dog. He turned himself into a dog. Don't ruin my childhood, okay?
So anyway, certainly, New York is it's a great film. I actually just watched it there just the other day there, just because I could. So then a great film, a brilliant, much loved their sort of character. So Snake, the Plissken, with his sort of deadpan, their sort of delivery, his action hero, their sort of chops, as it were, and his eye patch. We're not actually going to cover that film. However, he does come back in the 90s, as does their eye patch. And what we're going to talk about now is actually 1992's Captain Ron, where the eye patch comes back again. So
yes.
so the apologies to Snake, their Pliskin fans, but we're not talking about him. But we are talking about
Captain Ron could easily be a descendant from the Pliskin family. Captain Ron is like the black sheep of the Pliskin family. All right, because he probably want to do everything. He's probably State Pliskin's younger brother who wanted to do everything that State Pliskin does. He's like, oh, my brother's got the eye patch. That's really cool. And he did something really dumb to get it, and it just really messed up all his choices throughout the years. Yeah. Captain Ron, a story about a Midwestern family who inherit a boat, and instead of just flying over and getting the boat, they actually no. They see. Here's the part that's confusing. Are they taking a boat over to get the boat that they want, or do they actually are on the boat that they want? Is that the boat they inherit?
So I think what they do is they fly to the Caribbean to pick up the boat.
Okay.
And the plan is there to sell it. So they're gonna, bring the boat back to the States there to actually sell the boat. So
okay,
yeah,
there it is. Okay.
But they don't know anything about sailing, so they have to hire their Captain Ron.
But here's the thing too. I mean, they don't really look to see who the other great captains are. Basically, he's hired by the country to guide them, because when they go to pick up the boat, they don't ask, "Hey, who are your best captains?" They don't see like a list of boat ship captains and hire one. They are just sort of given this guy. And if a country or a state recommends someone, I want to see some, credentials. I want to see like a resume. I want to talk to his past clients, But right away, this family's like, oh, okay, here's a guy. He has an eye patch on, so obviously he's a captain. He's on my ship. He's hitting on my young daughter and saying that's my wife. And then, yeah, sure, why not? You can be in charge of my family while we go travel the high seas here. No problem at all. I find Kurt Russell to probably be the best thing about this movie.
Yeah,
he is a lot fun. He is like this like free spirited guy, and he just wants to be friendly with people as well. And he likes all the he likes this family. He's got some very lurid thoughts on some of the family members right there. But all in all, he's a good guy. He likes the son. He doesn't actually hit on the daughter, so don't. He's not. When it comes to the boat, he's like, "Hey, is this your wife? Hey, good for you, buddy." She's looking right there, and you're thinking that he's gonna be skeevy and hit on the young 16-year-old daughter, but he doesn't. He flirts with the wife a little bit, but not so much. And the family just has like this really misadventures of them getting to like one accident after another. Martin Short is in this, along with Mary Kay Place, as well as Meadow Sisto and Benjamin Salisbury as his kids.
Mm-hmm.
And while I like Kurt Russell in this, I find the family members not to be all that interesting, because none of them have like an arc to them. Like, I expect some sort of like growth and change to happen. Like, I don't know if they have any issues to begin with. Like, the daughter is a woman that never really relates to herself, and it seems like she tries to be a different person with each guy that she's attracted to. She wants to more be like that person, and she's not that way at all. I found the son to have a little bit more growth than the parents.
I enjoyed, I enjoyed the character of the son. I thought that was well sort of played. And actually, Vern, I think you've summed it up quite sort of well there. I didn't really warm to the family that much. I didn't really like the Martin Short's their sort of character much at all.
Yeah.
The rest of the family are fine, but there's not much about them. Must admit, didn't really like sort of him, and and I think you're right, Kurt. The sort of Russell's, is he's actually the best thing about the film.
Well,
Um,
Kurt Russell, he actually kind of grows as a person because he's just been sort of like just like kind of floating through life and uh, not really taking much responsibility for his actions.
mhm,
But throughout the course of this movie, he actually does start to grow a little bit, and he kind of learns from the mistakes that he does. Uh, Martin Short's character, he's just he's like very enthusiastic about this boat. Okay, why is he enthusiastic about this boat? And his hatred of Kurt Russell's character, yeah, he breaks a few things on the boat. Okay, yes, he doesn't really know how to navigate the family very well because he navigates them into like sea storms and
yeah,
everything like that. But it was like a jealousy thing. Like, what was Martin Short's arc in this? Like, what is he trying to build as a character? What is he trying to learn from this? At least the son, he was a guy that was kind of like, timid and shy, maybe unsure of himself, but he becomes kind of a badass. There's that great sequence where he has like a tattoo on
yeah,
him. And he's
yeah.
playing strip poker with Kurt Russell and the other girl. And Kurt Russell's like, the mom comes in, she's like, "You're playing strip poker." I'm like, "Well, we thought we were up really high right there, but then this girl's really good with her hands, like." And Kurt Russell never thought of it like exposing this kid to like a naked woman. He's like, "Hey, I'm just gonna hit my friends. We're gonna play poker," but he has no money, so this is the only way we can play games here. And I just thought he's a very endearing character. He's a guy that maybe not have the best smarts, but he definitely has like a lot of heart, and he does care about people, may not make the best decisions, but all in all, I thought he was great. I really thought that some of the other members of the family would grow a little bit more.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, like the daughter, like I mentioned before, in the beginning of the movie, she becomes engaged to all these different guys right there. And I'm thinking, have these parents ever talked to the kids about sex at all? Or they seem to just like let the kids kind of do whatever they want. I'm like, if I saw like if my daughter, brought home a guy like that, I'm thinking, why is she bringing home guys like this? There has to be something that I've done wrong in my teachings or anything like that there too. So she didn't really grow. I found a lot of the adventures that they went on to be fun. This is essentially is a sitcom movie. This is a basic sitcom family. They get into these troubles and everything's going to be fine at the end. The only way to watch this movie is because of Kurt Russell. So
Yeah.
I'm sorry, babbling on for a long time there. I apologize.
No, no, no. I think you've absolutely summed it up there, Vern. I can't add sort of too much. There wasn't a lot of laughing out loud moments. It was
Like,
fun enough. Sort of amiable. Like the bits with the pirates and that, and
yeah, like or like they're at a stop, and Kurt Russell says, "Hey, look out for the gorillas. Stay on the path. Look out for
yeah,
the gorillas." And Martin Short's character's like, "There are no gorillas in this area. All right, they're in this certain area. There are no gorillas." And then he actually does one off path, and oh no, he actually does meet actual gorillas, revolutionaries
yeah,
with guns,
yeah.
and they and also there was a lot of sequences too where everything just like cuts all of a sudden. Like there's a sequence where they're on the boat and off the distance they see the pirates and they shoot, pirates are here, and then all of a sudden they're on a raft. I'm
Yeah.
like, what happened to the sequence of the pirates taking over the ship? I mean, and also for a family that just got harassed by pirates, they're not hurt in any way because I have a feeling if pirates did come on that ship, that family would be like probably killed, definitely hurt, kidnapped for sure. They would not put them on a raft. And I want to see that explained a little bit more out there.
Well,
Um,
yeah, haha. Well, I, I suppose it's a film. You know, to be honest, you know, all three of these films, if you look too much sort of logic, then they're all just going to fall to bits.
yeah, that's
So,
true. So this was released by Touchstone Pictures, which is a division of Disney. Touchstone was released, I think, back in like 1984 when the movie Splash came out,
mhm.
because Disney wanted to release movies that had a little bit more mature themes in their features. Uh, this is one Touchstone picture. Now, other Touchstone pictures are available on Disney Plus, such as Splash, even though it's heavily edited. Who Framed Roger Rabbit is on there, A Big Business, other Touchstone features. But Captain Iran is not on Disney Plus, um, because even though it's very slight, there are some quick shots of nudity in this movie. There's also a sequence where both Martin Short and Mary Kay Place are having sex
Mm.
in a shower, and they accidentally put like a bar between the doors, and then a washcloth goes in the drain. It's filled up with water. But there are shots of like butts in there that I'm sure Disney executives were like, I don't want to have this on there. The whole notion of having like a young kid play strip poker with a woman, even though they don't actually show it, it's all the aftermath of it. Yeah, I'm sure there were a lot of like mature themes. Even Martin Short's character says after him and his wife had sex, like, "Hey, I just had me and my wife just had sex in the last 3 months, and it was the best sex we ever had in like a while." So it's a PG-13 movie, so families can watch it. And I do recall a bunch of my friends, they watched it with their folks, and I this is my first time watching it. I don't know why my parents just never went to the movie. I think we saw a preview of it. I'm like, it was kind of dumb. I don't know. But families can watch this, but just be aware that there are references to sex. And maybe in today's age, that won't really shock any people. I don't know. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But I just found it funny to see that this movie is not on Disney Plus.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, and that seems odd now. You know, these days, in the days of you know, being able to set, you know, what what your kids watch and such like, you know, it's quite sort of easy to do that now that you know, that one isn't there. So thanks, Disney, because you made me pay £3.50 extra
Yeah,
to watch
yeah,
this
me
film.
too. And I don't really mind. Like I said before, I don't hate the movie. If Kurt Russell was not in this movie, I would be kind of like, come on, get on with it.
Yeah.
This movie's so slow. But he's really kind of the saving grace of this movie. I also the relationship between Martin Short's character and Kurt Russell's character is never really solved really in this. They
Hmm.
just all of a sudden like they go from hating each other to all of a sudden, hey, we're cool, you
Yeah.
know? And there was nothing there that I don't think they even had a sequence with them two together. Like I never really saw an instance where those two characters talk to each other one on one. You
Mm.
know, they talk to each other, but other characters are around there.
Hmm.
Like there's never like one moment where they each sort of like understand each other a little bit, uh,
Yeah, they
and that's what
definitely.
this movie really needed.
Yeah, yeah, they definitely could have bonded better, I think. Yeah, but
The
um,
whole like wild crazy guys. It's the whole like straight man and like wild comedic sidekick role. There has to be a moment like Tommy Boy has it. A lot of other kind of stuff. There's got to be like a moment in there where like both characters, you know, see each other's from each other's shoes. That whole sequence right there. Uh, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is a great example of this. You got Neil Page as Steve Martin's character, and Del Griffin, John Candy's character, two complete opposites. They hate each other throughout the course of the movie, and then they start to see each other through each other's eyes, and they have like their friendship bonds of that. And I'm not saying Captain Iran had to achieve that, but had to at least try to do that.
mhm.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. You definitely don't get that with it, do you? But I it was. it was a fine enough there watch. I'm glad I've watched it. I'm not going to rush back and watch it again.
Not unless Captain Ron and Snake Plissken make a movie together.
Well, that would be
I mean, come on now, Snake Plissken as being this hard edged guy, and Captain Ron being the wild person that he is. Come on now, and have Kurt Russell play both parts.
is that a the sort of crossover that we really need, Vern? I think.
I think so. I'm
I think
gonna message Kurt Russell with this idea. Like, hey, Kurt Russell, Captain Ron, Snake Plissken, you're playing both parts, all right? How do we make this happen, buddy? And Kurt Russell's like, Vern, yes, I known you for whole like 2 seconds because you messaged me, but you know what? I will put money down on this.
well,
you would watch that movie.
Yeah.
Would you watch the Captain Ron Snake Plissken feature?
I think we all would. I would certainly be there first in line over here.
With appearances by Jack Burton from Big Trouble in Little China. Boom, major gold. You will get co-creator credit of this. We'll be making bad bait.
Oh, good lord! The queues would be round there the block to see that one. I'm sure
they would be.
Yeah, would absolutely pack them out.
Triple Kurt Russell. Yeah.
I am going to round up. I am going to give a couple of their shout outs just for the two people did get their Captain Ron. They were absolutely right about this one. I'm actually going to go first with the Tony V of the Tony V show. Tony V got it partly right. He mentioned the Pirates one, so I'm going to give him that one. I think he got it spot on there.
Maybe it's called Pirates in a different country. I don't know. I mean, they have to call Captain Ron in all countries. It may be called, Pirates of the Caribbean, because they do mention Pirates of the Caribbean. So maybe it's the prequel to Pirates of the Caribbean.
Well, I mean, they do mention that. They do mention they're the pirates of they're the Caribbean.
Yeah.
They're the ride in it, don't they? And also a shout out to Tinseltown Thunderdome, who also got their Captain Ron absolutely right.
Tinseltown Thunderdome.
Yeah.
I like that name. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's a great name, actually. I would assume that two go in and only one there comes out. So that's how the Thunderdome works, isn't it? Apologies to everyone else for me sort of teasing you by not covering the Thing or Bone, the Tomahawk, or any of those other films. I think everybody was thinking that I was going to go for.
The Thing is just too obvious. Everyone has covered The Thing. The Thing is an undisputed classic. I don't know if there's anything more to say about The Thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Special effects are great. The cast is great. Yeah, that's a 5-star movie. I can't really say more about it.
I mean, where are you going to find their podcast that actually covers these three films? And let's face it, the answer's nowhere. So
that's true. Yeah.
Anyway, Vern, it's been absolutely they're brilliant having you on. However, I think you need to tell me all about what the you gets there up to.
Well, right now, Cinema Recall is on a bit of a hiatus right now. We'll be coming back in August, Ian, but throughout the month of July, I just need to take a break. We just finished our series on Mulholland Drive. We call it Map of Mulholland Drive, and I had on there guests Jason Soto from Whatever with Jason Soto, as well as Ryan Luis Rodriguez from Reels of Justice and Coolness Chronicles. And we dive into David Lynch's Mulholland Drive in 5 parts. So we really do a deep dive into that movie. We just finished that. The last episode I posted was on the Batman soundtrack, the soundtrack composed by Prince. And I just stole an episode from an earlier podcast I hosted called Screen Tracks with me and my friend Jordan. We just review the Batman soundtrack. So those last episodes are available. I know on our Patreon page through July, we'll probably be posting other things. I'm trying to put together an event, and I'll share this with the audience right now. Some sort of where I watch all 4 Jaws movies for the 4th of July. I've only seen the first two. I have not seen the other two because I heard just bad things about them, and I'm still scared of that shark, even though he is fake and whatnot. So I want to do something around 4th of July where I do like a live screening or something, or maybe like I'll do something on Twitter where I watch all four Jaws movies during the 4th of July. So keep a look on that. Our Twitter page is at cinema underscore recall. We're available on the Facebook and Instagram, Cinema Recall Podcast. Our website is cinemarecall.net. Check out the show. We're available on most of your favorite podcast player apps. And thank you very much. Our Patreon page is patreon.com/cinema recall pod. You can find bonus shows on there as well. And yeah.
Brilliant. So I'll tell you what, Jaws sounds absolutely brilliant, Vern. I think that's you're doing something that would be well up my sort of street, especially the last day two, because they don't get spoken about there enough. There for lots of reasons, but
that shark, I know it's animatronic. It still scares me. Like my niece saw that movie recently, and she's like, "Uncle, why are we scared of this movie for so long? That shark looks fake." I'm like, "I don't know." Just, I was a young kid when I saw this movie, and it still scares me.
You know what? It just stays with you, doesn't it? So like used cars, and my thought about the brown their car, the shark in their Jaws, Vern, has stuck with you all those years, and quite rightly so, because it's a great film, isn't it? So I will wrap up there. Thanks so much, Vern, for their coming on, and thanks everybody for their listening. Thank you.